What's goody, Hot Breathiverse? Welcome back to Hot Breath. I am your host, comedian Joel Byers, and our mission here is to cultivate the next generation of self-made comics. Now, for the past 6 or 7 years, we've interviewed over 400 comedians, and in that time, most of them have achieved what they wanted to. They've done a lot of big things and built what they aspired to build. This year, we're going to start highlighting comedians in the middle of that grind, with the vision, building it in real time with you. So come along and welcome our first official guest in the new studio, the owner of this studio, Mr. Joel Ruiz.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Welcome to the Hot Breathiverse.
Yeah. Have you ever had another Joel on?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Let's only refer like Joel.
Joel. Pleasure, Joel.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I've obviously been behind the camera before, but I've been in front of the camera for other things.
Yeah.
But excited to have you. So that's the direction. I like that direction for the year of just trying to kind of showing.
Yeah, because what I learned last year is we did like a recap of 2023 and top episodes. So I gave my top episodes and then also looked at the analytics and what those top episodes were. And they weren't the most famous guests.
Yeah.
They were like maybe less famous guests that just had really inspiring stories that helped comedians, or it was our Q&As that we do. So I realized, maybe instead of keep trying to chase famous comics, well, let's reach across and let's help other comics on the way up. So this is really a step in that direction.
I get that though, because I definitely when I do like bigger names, but it's always fun to hear about like the process for me and like how to go about where to start, because like when I first started stand up, I didn't know you could start stand up because I'm from like I moved to Atlanta in 2015, and so around like 2009 2010, I can't remember the exact date. But like, I always thought stand-up sounded really cool to do, but we had no stand-up scene in Chattanooga. There was a local club called the Comedy Catch. It's still there, but like, not very welcome to like locals. And like, I think they had the one open mic a month. And then anytime I went there, it was very not my style or enjoyment. I didn't have I hadn't done comedy yet, but like, it's a lot of very Southern, very like Getter John blue collar comedy tour style stuff. So I didn't know you could do stand up, and then I had two friends, Zach Ames and John Darnell, that lived in Chattanooga. They moved to LA, came back, and then they'd been doing stand up in LA for like a year. Did a show at a local bar that I missed the show because I was working, but I threw an after party, and I was like, man, I've always really wanted to do stand up. It's so cool. How do you do it? They're like, you just go do it. And I was like, yeah, but like, who do you talk to? They're like, nobody. You just go do it. So then I told them, I was like, I'd love to do it. And the bar that they threw the show at, CBC, Chattanooga Billiard Club, loved the show. They had a good turnout, and they wanted to do more. So there was a local guy who hosted it for them. And they're like, yeah, Nathan Gabley's going to take over. He's going to run it. So they said, he can have the show. And then, so I told Nathan, I was like, I want to do it. And he was supposed to give me more than a week's heads up. But he called me like Friday, and he was like, do you still want to do stand-up? And I was like, yeah. He goes, cool, there's a show next Friday. Come and do 7 minutes.
7 minutes.
And I was just like, what do I do?
Did you have any material written?
No, but I will say, because like I definitely was in the camp of people that like had always been interested in stand-up, was always very funny and just jokey at work and outings. So I had a lot of like jokes and stories that I've told before, because especially for my stand-up career, most of it was like storytelling. So I had some stuff prepared, and I did the very classic, like all of my friends came.
Yep.
For like the first 3 shows I ever did, and I killed every show because it's all my friends being super supportive and being like, man, this is you've been needing to do this. And then I did my first show without anybody in the audience, and I bombed so hard. I got way too drunk before, was overly confident, and then I was like, oh, really, really important. But like the first year I did stand up was so funny to me, because especially looking back at it now, we just had like the one monthly show at that bar, so I wasn't getting up a lot. And I eventually took it over from the guy Nathan, because he didn't know how to run a show or do anything, and was also very lazy. And then we were just kind of John Michael Bond, actually.
Yes. Yeah.
He started up there with me. A few months after the shows, he came up and like was like, "Hey, I really want to do this." I was like, "Please do." I have 3 other people that are doing this with me. The lineup is the same every month, and he started with me. And I remember another just a true Atlanta comedian who's been everywhere, Joe Pettis.
Of course,
was the first out of town comic we ever brought up outside of the LA guys that started it. And he came up, and this was like, we'd been doing the show a year. So this was like maybe our 10th to 12th show. And he was like, "How much time do we have?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "When are you going to give me the light?" And I was like, "The light is on the stage all the time. Why would we do the show in the dark? Like, that's outrageous. What I thought you did stand up." And he was like, "No, man, like, how much time? Like, when are you going to light me?" And I was like, "We don't do that here." And this was the first time this had actually happened. Somebody got up and wouldn't get off the stage, and they did like almost 15 minutes of just terrible storytelling. And then afterwards, Joe was like, "That's why you light people.
Yep.
Like, you make sure." And I was like, "Huh. Interesting."
You run like 12 shows, and you're like, a light.
And I was like, interesting, a time limit. And I was like, "Now, you came up with this idea? Did you patent this? Do I pay you part of my free bar tab every time?" So it really was like learning as we went, slowly piecing together how to do stand-up, how to run shows, how to do anything. And then eventually I moved the show from CBC to a bar that fit our aesthetic more, called JJ's Bohemia. It's still a running show. They do some showcases there. They have like a weekly open mic. But I started doing that show, and like really, it took a little bit of a grind, but that's back in like for this is very specific to Atlanta, but old Comedy Gold days with like Gilbert Lawland and
Jared Harris.
I met them through Joe, so we would swap show like headliners. So like, it's crazy. It's not crazy as in he doesn't deserve it. It's crazy seeing Nate Bargatze doing stadiums now, because Nate Bargatze did JJ's like 3 or 4 times. And like, he would come there with Louis Katz. We'd had like Ryan Singer, like James Adomian used to come through,
and Kyle Kinane. Yeah, I remember
like
that.
all these people, and it, like Joe DeRosa, and it really was just like what we did. We would find comics, because Chattanooga is like 2 hours from Nashville, Knoxville, Atlanta. You find headliners going to a big club and being like, "Hey man, instead of flying out Sunday night or Monday, I can get you like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday." So it was like, do like a Monday, do like Star Bar in Atlanta, come up to JJ's for Tuesday, go up to Knoxville for Wednesday, go like Greenville, Nashville for Thursday, and you have like, small time comics driving you, because we're getting all these guys like, when they are opening for big acts. So like, we got Kyle Kinane because he was on tour with Patton Oswalt.
Wow.
And like opening for him, we're like, "Hey, the tour ends in Atlanta. Do you want to stay for a couple of days?" And we were paying pennies in comparison to what they were making. But what they liked about it was like, it was fun, like indie rooms. They got to work out new material. We'd give them like 30 to 60 minutes, depending on what they wanted to do. Like Kurt Metzger came there a couple times just because he was like, "Hey, I don't care how much money I make. I got an hour, and my agent is not answering the calls. I need to go and do rooms that will let me do an hour." He was like, "Can I run an hour and a half so I can like condense it? I'm just working all my material." And we were just like, "Yeah, of course." And everyone loved it, because like, we didn't have that kind of comedy in Chattanooga. So like, we really got to build something super special, super fun around these shows that like is why we got so many big names for no money, because it was just people being like, "Oh yeah, man, I've just heard nothing but good things about this." Joe DeRosa once said that like, he loved doing the indie run because like, it cleansed his comedy soul, because he'd be like, "Man, he was like, I'm making money, but I'm doing terrible Midwest gigs, I'm doing corporate gigs, I'm doing all this. Every once in a while I need to go somewhere that I can just do whatever I want and have people legitimately enjoy stand up." So that's really like what made it for us, is that we just, big comedy fans, put on a good show. And you would get like, JJ's is small. It's literally like a hallway of a room.
It is, yeah. It's really wide, and you just walk in, and the stage is to the left, and it just goes like deep, really.
Yeah, but you could still fit like 60 to 80 people packed. 80 is packed. But like, it is, you're doing a room of people that like love comedy, and it really, for the locals that were doing stand up there, really spoiled you, because everyone there liked comedy so much.
Yeah.
So you're doing JJ's every week for the open mic, or you're doing the showcases that we have, and then you go out of town, and you're like, why do people not like comedy here? Where's everybody that's just like, where's the tight-knit group of 200 to 300 people that rotate in and out that hate everyone else in the town?
Yeah.
So that's how we got started, though, and it was super fun. And I'm very happy with what we did. Like I said, it's still running to this day.
Yeah, it's one of the longest running shows out there.
And then, because I passed it off to Ryan Darling, who's now in Atlanta, and then I'm not sure who's running it anymore. But I don't go up there anymore, but like, I'm just happy to know that like the legacy of the stuff that I did in like my 20s, and like just having, because for us it was just fun. Like we weren't trying. I wasn't like, I want this room to last forever. I was like, I just want to have a place to go and do comedy and try stuff out and get to like hang out with my friends. But it's really nice to know that like it's still active.
Is that what you think is the reason behind its longevity? Is the intention? Like how do you create a show that does last a long time, but that it's actually like a quality show that the people want to come back to and get a following from it, I
do think a big part of its intention, I think you have to really harbor, like you have to put in what you want to get out of it. And like one of the hardest things about creative stuff, not just stand-up, is that there's so little money. Yes. And when you get to that money, it's after years of being so poor and losing so much money, losing so much time. So like, if you get into something and your first goal is like, I have to be famous and rich, it's not as authentic and genuine. And don't get me wrong, I wish that there was more money in stand-up or just anything like that. But I think it's just because we just wanted to make a really good, fun show. Like it was like you want to have somewhere to go every week, and it kind of just harbored that. We definitely. It's like open mics, anyone could get up, but I mean, I would tell comics, I'd be like, hey, listen, man, you've come in 4 weeks in a row and done the exact same set. You haven't added a tag, you haven't done any of this. Like, why? Mm-hmm. Like, you're wasting time, especially once we started to get to the point. Because at first it was like, anyone, please, dear God, show up and get up. We just need numbers. But once we started getting, like, consistent numbers and filling up the list, I started telling people, I was like, man, do you have anything new? Like, if you're asking me, like, just because you showed up early, what are you going to do new? And especially if I found out you weren't tipping the bartender, I'm like, you don't get up anymore. Because, like, one person was never funny. He didn't drink, but I assumed, because even whenever I would go to shows and not, like, be drinking, if I just got, like, a Coke or something, I would still be like, here's $10 for this $2 Coke because, like, I'm going to be here all night. You're working very hard, as a service industry person. And I was complaining about him one night. I was like, well, at least he tips. And the bartender was like, he never tips. He buys a Coke and doesn't tip. And I was like, well.
Oh, man.
He's off the list permanently now. But I think it really is. It's just like you got to know what you want to build it as. And we just really wanted to have a fun, entertaining show. And that's kind of what I think is like stuck with it. Because also JJ's itself is like kind of a dive punk bar.
Yeah.
So it's way more of like laid back, indie punk kind of atmosphere where it's not anything goes. Like people aren't getting up there doing super edgy, offensive, or rude comedy. It's just that like, no, like you can try weird stuff. You can do stuff that normally doesn't go well at the comedy clubs, and then you're getting a lot of people in there that already want like weird fringe stuff. So like normal comedy would still go very well there. Like you can go do a completely clean set as long as it's funny. That's what people care about. It's not like, oh, you didn't, you're not dirty enough for us. Like it was just that we just curated a good group, and it just kind of continued on past that. And I think that's really like the biggest thing of it, because that's like the interviews I've heard of people, you always hear about those rooms that people came up in where it's just everyone loved comedy.
Yeah.
And I think that's just the biggest thing is like getting comics that care and like building your audience around that.
So how did you build the audience?
Honestly, because before stand-up, I promoted a lot of musical acts, like bands and dance parties and stuff like that. A lot of my early 20s and 30s were a lot of drugs. Before...
You were the plug? Is that what you're saying?
A little. Sometimes, most of the time, I was the guy that threw parties.
Okay.
Knew the plug.
Right.
And would be like, hey, come to this. There's a lot of people. And then if you do well... I'm poor, so at the end of the night, hook me up. One of the running, I'd say joke, it's not a joke. One of the things we would do at JJ's is when we had out of town comics come. I'm like, hey, what do you like to do? And they're like, this, this, and this. I'm like, cool. And then after the show, I'd be like, all right, everyone, thank, this comic for coming. By the way, they really like this substance. We'll be out back. If they did a good job, this is the thing they like to do. And they'd be like, whoa, man, why are you doing that? I'm like, just wait. And we go sit out back, and everyone's like, hey, man, good job. Anyways, here you go. Like, because they're just like, I love comedy. This was great. And they're just like, oh, okay, man, yeah, okay, yeah. So that is... so that's, I just always, through a really good show, would make sure, if I'm throwing a show, it's going to be a party that I want to go to, or like a comedian I want to see. And I think it just like really caught on very quickly of like their quality we're curating. And, and I would always try to keep it cheap, like, anywhere from $5 to $10 for most headliners. Bigger names, we'd go upwards a little bit, obviously. But it was just one of those, like, very rarely did we have like a bad. I'll tell you, plenty of open mics where nobody showed up, but that's an open mic. And I'll say this is my advice for open mic runners. If you ever are doing a weekly open mic and no audience shows up, and it's just you and the same comics, literally ask everyone, like, does anyone actually have anything we want to try new? Because there were so many times we would still do the open mic with nobody there, and I'm like, it's just the same jokes, y'all. Like, no one did it. And I'm like, we should just hang out back and riff. Like, I guarantee you one of us is going to come up with a joke or a tag out back, just hanging out with each other and goofing off than doing the exact same set. So I was like, so if anyone really needs to try out something new, I'll go turn on the microphone. Otherwise, like, let's grab a drink and go sit out back. And most of the time, people like us do better. Because also sometimes you get burnt out.
Yeah, for sure.
And so you just getting to hang out with the other comics and actually being like, oh, I didn't know this was your actual job, or I didn't know this about you. And it's kind of doing that, like kind of building, because that kind of goes back to like building an actual like good scene and community.
Right. Yeah, that is a good point. That that's what I'm all about, is like comedians helping comedians. Yeah. And when I came up here in Atlanta, it wasn't as supportive as it is now. It was a little more divided, and I would do I didn't do the cool shows. I would be at like the strip clubs and sidewalks and stuff.
Yeah.
That was,
I like how I
I was on that scene.
Yeah. Because I liked that, because when I moved to Atlanta, I'd already been doing JJ's for years. So I already knew a bunch of people and showrunners. So like I said, I knew Gilbert really well. I knew Jared. I'd booked a bunch of people. And so like, I didn't feel bad because I wasn't going to not take advantage of it. But, like, I remember, like, coming down, and I'm sure people were like, why is this new guy getting to do Star Bar, like, second week? Like, why is he going up at, beer and comedy? Why is he doing all the big shows when he's, like, new in town? But it's like, oh, well, they all owe me favors. I had a good show for, like, 5 or 6 years. I booked everybody. Rarely, I would come down, but not, frequently, like, once or twice a year to these cities. And so I was like, yeah, I have like 5 years of like booking favors in my back pocket.
That's currency in comedy.
Yeah, we're just like, oh yeah, hey man, I moved here. Come, let me get on. Let me do that. And then also, I started a very good show once I moved here that people wanted to get on as well.
Was that Ladies' Night?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got into like video production stuff in Chattanooga. That's why I wanted to move here. It's because I wanted to like do more work in film or just any kind of video production. Had already started making like some sketches and shorts. That's how I met Brian Emond, who was an Atlanta comic, through Jake Head. And then
we're getting deep Atlanta.
This isn't very Atlanta, but
this is very deep.
Yeah, so I met Brian Emond through Jake Head, and then Zach Lamplugh was making some short films. I knew both of them. Because they worked together. So I moved down and was like, hey, I got 6 years of showrunning experience. I really want to start a stand-up show, but not straight stand-up, because Atlanta already had so many. Like, I was able to be successful in Chattanooga because there was no other stand-up shows. I didn't have a lot of competition. And a few people made some, but like they all worked really well together. So I was like, I need something that's going to be a competitive edge, and I really want to do more sketch. So I was like, I want to do a show that involves like sketch comedy and stand-up. And Brian and Zach also wanted to do it. And we were all, they were making sketches together, and I was making sketches of my own. But I was like putting them out on YouTube, and like, it's like people are like, 14 views. It's like, cool, man. It took a lot of time. This took a lot of time. And so that's why what we started to do with Ladies' Night was we made 3 sketches a month. One was like a host intro video, which was like, ended up being very super meta. about the three of us running a comedy show. And then we would each make like kind of a standalone sketch, and we had a submission block. And the first show we did at Village Theater, we got like a trial run, and they're because we were like, we don't want to charge anybody to come to it, and Village was like,
interesting.
That's a dumb idea.
Yeah.
But we just wanted an audience. We just wanted people to see our sketches. So we did a free show.
Village is closed now as well, so that may
Village
have
is
something
closed.
to do with it.
Man, they might have. Actually, they
That was
loved
years
us.
ago,
They
though,
loved
yeah.
us because
You guys sold it out all
our
the time.
first show, we were like, if we get 50 people, it's a miracle. We sold out. They have 144 seats, and they allow like 20-something standing room. They had to turn people away. And we had, I can't remember what the bit was, but we had like a really, really stupid opening bit we were going to do, where we were going to all go out and do, like, one of us was going to do a few jokes, and the other one's going to come out and do those exact same jokes. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was something idiotic. And then we looked out at the crowd, and we were like, can't do that, man. Like, we got to.
It's a real show.
Do you see how many people? And I think we just walked out. We're like, oh, we had a different plan. It was bad. Why are you all here? But that went great, because we did that for over 3 years.
How did you promote it to like sell some? Because it was sold out. Like all the photos I saw, it was always packed.
We gave a place for people to show their sketches. So the submission block was a huge draw, especially because the first year and a half it was no entry, no fee, no ticket price. So it was just kind of like we told 4 different groups of sketch and short filmmakers. We're like, hey, come, you can show this sketch here. Tell people about it. And then we like promoted it on Facebook, but we didn't like run ads or anything. We just told people, and enough people were like, this is an interesting enough show. And then to brag on myself, Brian and Zach, we were good at what we did too. Like
the show was quality.
Yeah, we made very funny, very low budget, but still well produced for what they were sketches. Mm-hmm. And so, like, it's just that first show hit, and then it just kept going and going and going. The only reason we started to charge was because people legitimately were getting mad that they couldn't get in, because they're like, how am I not able to get in? It's free. We're like, we're at capacity. They're like, and then people would start showing up like 2.5 hours before the show to get on the list. And it was so hectic that and so we were like, okay, we'll start to charge, so you can buy your ticket in advance and then not have to show up that early. And then we did it where it's like we would sell 120, so we had like 30 we could sell at the door for walk-ups. And then, we would tell people like, hey man, if doors open and you're not here to claim your ticket, we're reselling it. Like, not to be rude. But I think in our 3-year run, only 2 shows weren't at capacity.
So it seems there's a theme between that and JJ's, with the intention was to have fun, and with the ladies' night, the intention was to have fun and showcase sketch, and to give you another creative outlet beyond just stand-up. So it was never, let me do a show to where I can try to just make a bunch of money. That seemed to be the byproduct of the intention of, let me do something that's pure and that I will enjoy. And this is coming from someone who has produced shows to different success levels. And I'm now seeing this as we're talking, that all the ones I was like, oh, let me just get in here and get the bag, that those are the ones where it was just stressful and that did not happen.
Yeah, I'll say this, though. I've been very poor for a very long time, and definitely wish that I would have more of a money brain. I'm not like, but there's definitely been times where I'm like, man, this is really fun. Someone want to hire me?
I love the yin and the yang. I was like, that's really cool, man. And you're like, but money.
I'm like, but on the other hand.
A lot like with this show, where I was like, yeah, we're helping a lot of people, but money.
But that is, I think you kind of, because the reason why I never went to school for film is I was going to go to a college called MTSU. I had friends that graduated from the program, and they're like, don't. They're like, you're not going to learn anything that you really use day to day on job sets. They're like, everything I've learned has just been like happenstance afterwards. They're like, so like you're better off being poor, going in debt, buying cameras, doing this, and not getting $80,000 worth of like, tuition debt, and just running. And so I literally was about to move to Murfreesboro, Tennessee with a friend, and I was like, oh, hey man, I'm sorry, I'm backing out. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to stay and just keep doing stand up. Then started getting into sketch, then doing that. Cause now I don't even do stand up anymore, still work very heavily with stand-up, but like because we left Ladies Night, we passed it on to somebody else. I got really back into stand-up in like 2018 is when we passed it off. I was really back into stand-up for like 6 or 8 months. And then I was just like, why am I doing this? Because I just like producing something. I like shooting sketches better. I like producing content, working with other people, and just I found something else to scratch that itch. And so then I just didn't want to stay out at bars as late, but I still work a lot with stand-up comedians. Like whenever I cast things, like I have the podcast studio now, it was mainly just because I started producing podcasts for comedians, and that's the wheelhouse I like to be in. And I would probably even host a stand-up show again if I ever did something. Actually, I did. I had a short-lived sketch show called In Person Live that I tried out. It's just too much. I need like a full team to do it. But we did like 2 shows and it did pretty well. And I hosted the whole thing and like did little bits. I didn't write anything, but I was just like, oh, I know how to host. And so but you know, once again, the intention is there, but also the money wasn't. So you gotta you have to really decide, like, do I want to really put in time? And I'm very lucky because I have a good work ethic. I enjoy what I do, and I'm always trying to improve. Every new project, I try to improve. That's a big thing, too, as I'm trying to get better at my perfectionism, but I'm always just kind of like, the next thing I do, it can't just be, oh, well, this worked last time, let me do that again. I have to, like, do a new thing, a better thing, up the game. Because I'm always trying to just, not, like, one-up myself like I don't think I've ever been good, but it's like, okay, I learned a lot from this. Here's all the things that didn't work. Here's the things that really worked. How can I focus on what really worked to improve that, add a couple extra layers to that? And so that's why I have the studio now, is because I have worked really hard, got enough people to be like, oh, he knows what he's doing, and like had help opening the studio up because I have like this 10-year track record of constantly producing, constantly making stuff, and constantly get better. And so I really lucked into it, honestly. But
you earned it. You worked hard.
It was a both. It was like it was right time, right connections, but also, but you're right. But it is one of those, like, you know, if you stick with something long enough, hopefully you break. But you really just have to really stick to it. And it's just, you know, the luck is part of it. But you're very right. Like, I earned it because if I didn't have my track record of everything else I had done, I wouldn't have had someone be like, oh, no, man, I like you. I want to help back and, like, buy into the studio because I know you'll make it successful. And, you know, it's been nice working with, like, because I work with you, a bunch of other different podcasts in town, because it's just people I've known forever through the scene. And once I opened up the studio, I haven't done a lot of promotion because it's just been people being like, oh, can I come? I loved everything you've made. Can you produce for me? Can you edit? Can you do that? And it's just people knowing, like, oh, you've always put out really good work. I didn't know I could pay you for it. Which I think that's the thing you should tell people, that they can pay you money. Because for the longest time I didn't. And I remember talking to somebody after Ladies Night. And they're like, man, y'all made people so much money. And I was like, who and how? Why? Why not us? And they were like, oh, well, like, you got all the filmmakers in town. And we would bring, like, celebrity judges from, like, you know, indie films, Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, and stuff like that. He was like, yeah, you brought a bunch of people working film together. We all met, and people are like, oh, I love your work. Oh, hey, man, do you want to work on this? Do you want to work on this? And I was like, why? Where are my job offers? Where's my rent money? And they were like, we all thought you were too busy. I was like, what? They're like, yeah, man, you're running the show. You're doing that. You never really told anybody you needed gigs. And it was like, oh, you do have to tell people, like, by the way, if you all think I'm really good at this, you could hire me.
Oh,
It's a weird balance of, because some people will just think, oh, he's really good, he's too busy, I don't want to ask him, like, and then people are like, I only have this much for a gig. I'm like, thank God, please give it to me. I'll take it. And they're like, isn't this beneath your rate? I'm like, I have no rate. It is whatever money you'll give me.
That is true, and I can see that reflected even with this show, where I started telling people, hey, I'm open for booking and things, because this show has helped a lot of comedians learn how to produce their own shows and events and things. So I've been fortunate enough to travel all over from shows produced by fans the here. So that is a part of it where we were talking before we went live about, like, sponsors and all that. But there are other ways that you can find streams of income
Yeah.
and have a positive intention behind it beyond like, how can I slap a sticker on here that'll, pay my light bill?
It's the most annoying balance of creative work.
Dude.
Like, you hear about those duos where it's just like, this person understands money and numbers and marketing. This is the creative side. And I'm like, where's my numbers person?
Yep.
But then you butt heads. You're like, I want to do this. They're like, there's no money. And it's like, I don't care about the money. They're like, you don't care about the money?
Or it's like, I want to do this, and they're like, why? Where's the framework? What's the 5-year horizon of that?
And you're like, I got dopamine from the idea. I felt good for 5 minutes. I forgot that I have depression and ADHD, and so I'm gonna ride this until it goes away, and then I'll switch. Yeah. So it's a very fine line, but I do think a big thing is like the intentions of what you're getting into is what you really got to focus on, and just knowing. And everyone talks about this. It's a long hustle and grind for almost anything, but especially creative endeavors. And so if you really want to do. If you want to hobby stuff, great. It's a very fun hobby space for podcasting, stand-up, writing, sketch. You can have a lot of fun, spend as much or as little money as you want. But if you want to like do something long-term and turn it into like side hustle or a career or something like that, like you have to be ready to do years and years of no money, really. But then just constantly be making sure what you're saying yes to is going to try to send you to a better next level every time. Is really what it is. How have you,
because I've been doing this, it'll be 14 years on February 1st. How have you persevered? Like, how do you, you mentioned depression and ADD, like when you do get low, how do you get out of it?
Well, I'll just be sad for a few days.